This is XY Spark, restoring holistic, healthy masculinity.
Hey, how are you guys doing? We are so grateful to be here one more day. To all our live viewers, those who are viewing us, we remind you that this is a podcast XY Spark where we talk about real issues that men face. For those who join us live on Instagram, we see you. Shout out to you. Thank you for giving us your time and for being here. And we want you guys to know that this is an open forum discussion where we are going to talk about real issues that men face. And we're going to seek to come up with some solutions or have some discussions around how do we get past it? How do we grow? How do we heal? How do we become the best version of ourselves? For those who are joining us live on Facebook, we appreciate you. We're also live on YouTube and on Twitch. And you can go back later if you so desire and watch these podcasts and pick nuggets from them, things that you may find useful that could help you to grow. I also wanted to make mention, guys, that we're now in the month of May and we're just about looking around the corner towards or to year 3 of our Men's Mental Health Awareness March. So for those of you who have been following XY Spark, you know that every year around about June, we have a Men's Mental Health Awareness March. And this year, we are coming up to another event like that. And guys, this year promises to be so much bigger and so much better than in the previous years. How are you guys doing? How's your week going? Hope that you guys are all having a fantastic week, and I hope that you are all ready to engage in this discussion. Let me just remove my gum here. Now, guys, our topic this afternoon is why are men so afraid to express emotions and ask for help? Why are men so afraid to express emotions and ask for help? If you are a man and you are joining in this conversation, I'd like you to share your thoughts. If you're joining us live on Instagram, I'd like you to share your thoughts. Why are men so afraid to express emotions and ask for help? And this afternoon, we're going to be talking about some of the things that I've learned over time as I've been engaged in working with men and seeking to empower men to have healthy relationships with themselves and with the people in their lives that they love and care about. So, for the next 25 or so, 30 minutes, that's what we're going to be talking about. And I invite you guys to feel free to ask any question, type anything in the chat that you see could be of benefit to you, and let us have a conversation about it. All right? So, why are men so afraid to express their emotions and ask for help? Now, there are a few things that we cannot rule out when it comes to this. Number one is that for many men, hiding emotions has become a part of their reality. There are many men who they were not taught how to express emotions. They were taught that emotions are bad. They were taught that emotions, when you express emotions as a man, you are weak. They were taught that if they show emotions, then they will show vulnerability. And to be vulnerable as a man is not a good sign of a leader. Now, all of this stems from the idea of hegemonic masculinity, where the idea is that many men believe that they should never ever show any sign of weakness, or they should be able to always work things out on their own. So most men grew up in a culture where it is my responsibility to fix things, find a solution, make it happen, work magic. And so many men are afraid to express emotions and ask for help because they were taught that emotions is bad. Another thing that I find that why many men are afraid to express their emotions and ask for help is that they are surrounded with other men who make them feel that if they ever do it, then they can't be a part of the crowd. And there's nothing more powerful than a man who is able to stand on his own 2 feet and do the work that is necessary in order to experience the healing and the transformation that can only come through him engaging in that process. So if you are a man and you were taught to never express emotions and to never ask for help, then you are following through with a system or a belief that was handed down to you that is flawed. So you have got to recognize that as a man, you owe it to yourself to seek to get in touch with your emotions. You owe it to yourself to seek to understand the value of experiencing those emotions in a healthy way and not becoming those emotions. You also need to understand that as a man that there's no way for you to be a man and you exist outside of your emotions. Your emotions and you are one. And so you need to get acquainted with your emotions. You need to get comfortable with your emotions. You need to open yourself up to have a relationship with your emotions so you can understand and know when it's okay to express them and to utilize your emotions and see it as a positive tool to have in your toolkit. Now, several times as men, we really feel that we're failing if we ask for help. And why? Because it was not a part of the way we were raised. When we talk about the nature nurture theory, it's not a part of how we were raised, it's not a part of how we were programmed. And so, in our programming, we have come up with this idea that if I ask for help, then something is wrong with me. And ironically, it is when a man does not ask for help, that's when something is wrong with him because your outlook is somewhat misguided because of that which you were embracing that was handed down to you or that you learned through what you observed in your environment, whether it is observing your dad, your uncle, someone that's close to you. If you grew up in a foster home, you probably were observing your foster dad. If you grew up in a home where you had only a single parent, whether it's a single mom or a single dad, and if your mom made you feel as if when you express emotions or ask for help, you're a sissy or you're not tough enough or you're not brave enough, then you grew up thinking that if you ask for help, you're failing, you're missing the mark. So a lot of times men are afraid to express their emotions and ask for help because of what their belief system is rooted in. And for many of us as men, our belief system is rooted in that which was handed down to us or was role played for us by someone that we consider to be a good example of a man. Now, there are some men who are afraid to express emotions because they are in relationships where their partners make them feel that if they do express those emotions, then they are not man enough. And so, if ever he gets into that space where he feels like he needs to express emotions because his partner does not allow him to express those emotions, he's afraid to express those emotions. So, he buries it and he suffers in silence. And so, a lot of men are afraid to express emotions or ask for help because they are in relationships where their partners make them feel that if they do, then they are not worthy to be with them or to be in that relationship. And what I want to say to any man that is listening, and thank you for joining us, our Instagram followers, those who are joining us live, we appreciate you. Those who are joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, we appreciate you. But what I want to say to that man is if you are in that relationship and your partner causes you to go through a guilt trip because you are expressing emotions. And if your partner causes you to feel like you're less than a man, then that relationship is not a healthy relationship. And you need to work on that relationship so that both of you can be comfortable to express emotions. You're not a weak man if you express emotions. And your partner should not make you feel that you are weak because you're expressing emotions. Thank you for joining us, our Instagram viewers. So we have to look at these pieces as it relates to why are men so afraid to express their emotions and ask for help. And I would love to hear from you as well. I see you, Coach Wolverine, joining. I'd like to hear from you as well. What are some of the things that has caused you to feel like it's not a healthy thing to express emotions? Because a lot of men, they really struggle in their relationships. A lot of men struggle with themselves. A lot of men feel like they should not show emotions. And if they do, then they would have lost the validity, they have lost their power. They would have been seen as a weak man. And as I mentioned earlier, the idea behind hegemonic masculinity is to show forth that man that's combative. He solves problem by himself. He doesn't ask for help at no time. He appears to be all put together. There's this alpha maleness that he presents all the time, every time, without recognizing that every man has to learn to become comfortable with exploring the joy of having emotions. So, as a man, you have to be very, very honest with yourself. It says being told, I can't deal with this, and sometimes, there are men who are in relationships. Thank you for that comment, or viewer here on Instagram. Yeah, sometimes, and you're correct, coach, because coach, I spoke to men already who have said to me, if they dare express emotions in their relationship, then their partner makes them feel like they're less than a man. And yes, they are told that very thing. I can't deal with this. So when a man expresses emotion and he has a partner who's saying, I can't deal with this, I don't know what this is, we have to keep in mind that if this person that you're with was not taught how to be in touch with their own emotions, then as a man in a relationship with somebody like that, you are going to have to lower, or not lower, but you're going to have to adjust those expectations whereby your partner moves away from whatever they were taught about what a man who expresses emotions looks like. And that's very, very, very critical. I've heard guys say, hey, I don't want to express emotions because I don't want my partner to think I'm weak. Emotions are not a weakness. Showing emotion is not a weakness. Showing emotion is not something that's a weakness. Showing emotions is actually a strength. It's a healthy thing to do. It's a sane thing. It's a safe thing to do. And every man has got to learn and recognize that when you are connected and in tune with your emotional self, you will be healthier, you'll be more confident, you'll be more in tuned, you'll be better able to recognize and know what your limitations are. You will be able to ask for help when you need to get help. You'll be able to seek to create a safe environment whereby you can connect with other like-minded men like yourself who are able to say to you, you know what, man, it's okay if you do. So if you're watching us live here, I want you to repeat that to yourself. It is okay if I express my emotions. It's okay if I ask for help. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay for me to break the stereotypical way of thinking. It's okay for me to stop allowing society to dictate to me the way that I should live my life. It's okay for me to not be a robot. Because if you're a man and you're not being allowed to express those emotions, is that sort of a robotics? And so every man has got to get away from that place where he is living his life like he's a robot because, hey, he doesn't express emotions, he doesn't ask for help, and he feels that he can fix everything and do everything on his own. Another reason why men are afraid to express their emotions is that there are many of us as men who we never even knew, or weren't we were never uh we never exposed ourselves, or were never open to engaging in any conversation that would take us down that path that causes us to express emotions. Notice, sometimes there are guys who, they'll be the loudest in the room, they'll be the life of the party. And if you check their conversations, they're very surface. And oftentimes the guys who are hiding from being in touch with their emotions are those ones who their conversations are normally surface. They talk about sports or cars or chicks, and they're never really talking about how they are doing, what's going on with them, what do they need, what are they struggling with. And oftentimes why men are afraid to express their emotions is because it puts them in a place where they have to start being brutally honest with themselves. So a lot of men are afraid to express their emotions because expressing your emotions comes with brutal honesty. Expressing emotions says, hey, I'm hurting. I'm hurting and I need help. Expressing emotion says, hey, something is off. I'm not in tune. My equilibrium is off and I need to do something different. You see, when a man is in tune with his emotions, it will take him from living his life boxed in. It will take him from living his life in a space that's unhealthy and toxic to living his life in a space that is very, very nurturing and grooming, and a space that will help him to create that consciousness that's going to be an effective part of his journey of personal growth and development. So every man needs to stop being afraid to express their emotions. The next piece that I wanted to talk about is many more men have got to understand this, that it is just about time now for us as men to redefine the meaning of weakness. So a lot of men are afraid to express their emotions because of what they were taught about what weakness is. All right. Once upon a time, weakness was outlined as something that is, if you ask for help, or if you go out, or if you express emotions, you're weak. But many men are not expressing their emotions because they have been following through with a definition of weakness that is rooted in hegemonic masculinity. It's rooted in cultural expectations. It's rooted in societal quote unquote norms. And a lot of men are afraid to express their emotions because they are following through with this mandate. So men have got to learn how to redefine the meaning of weakness and to step away from the status quo and acknowledge that it's just about time now for me to discover that other part of my being that I was ignoring, or that I was told I should not pay attention to by society or those who are in my life that I consider to be important. So as men, we have got to recognize that there is so much value when we are able to say to ourselves, I'm okay to express emotions. I will be okay. I'm not afraid of judgment. I'm not afraid of being viewed through a lens of weakness. I'm not afraid to stand on my own 2 feet and go on that journey of self discovery and healing. I'm not afraid to say I don't have all the answers. I'm not afraid to take a step back from continuing this cycle that I've been caught in because of my own preconceived ideas about what it means to be a man. So as you go off, as you go off, as you go off this afternoon, I want you to reflect on 3 questions. 3 questions I want you to reflect on. Number one is, what's the worst thing that could happen to my life and in my life if I stop being fearful to express emotions? What's the worst thing that will happen in my life if I start expressing emotions? Question number two is this: how will expressing emotions and asking for help bring more value to my life? Question two: how will expressing emotions and asking for help bring more value to my life? And question number three is this: if I am human, then why should I be afraid to have emotions? If I am human, why should I be afraid to have or express emotions? So as you go off into the rest of this week, I want you to reflect on these questions. And if you need to connect and talk with us some more, you can just messenger us. You can message us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and we're more than ready. You can message us here on Instagram, all our Instagram live viewers. We appreciate you. And let us continue the conversation. And if there's something that you heard today that made sense to you, we would love to hear from you. Because here at XY Spark, our mantra is this: personal development is not an event, it's a lifestyle. And we want to see to work and connect with you to create this lifestyle, this mindset. Why? Because here at XY Spark, we believe that there is a spark in you and in you. So please, let us continue the conversation as we connect again. Join us again next Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You never know who we're going to have on our show. We may have a special guest next week who is going to come and share with us their journey of self-discovery and healing. So we look forward to seeing you here again on our podcast here on XY Spark, where we will be live, where we continue to have conversations that helps to empower men to become the best version of themselves. So we'll see you again next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we continue to have those conversations. We'll see you guys again real soon. Have a great night.